What up, everybody? Welcome in again to See Ball, Get Ball. It's the time of the week every week where we have a guest, Dusty Dvoracek, a fellow defensive lineman. He'll fit right in with See Ball, Get Ball. Calls a big game every week. His enthusiasm for football is really cool. I've always admired that. But jumping right in, man, it's interesting because we have all these coaches' stories and all these names and fired coaches and who's going to get fired and, you know, who's the next one, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of the jobs we talk about are guys that have jobs currently. Well, Ross Dellinger talked about the buyout of Jimbo Fisher and how he's 60 years old, and he kind of did a story on him. And you saw, actually, if you didn't see it, like they actually showed Jimbo in his return to Florida State from ACC Network, and it was pretty cool, man. Like he had tears, like it was emotional because everybody was, you know, doing the chop and kind of supporting him, and realized, man, he won a championship. So. Like he had good success at Florida State, and to show the appreciation, you could see the raw emotion. And he's just saying, like, I didn't get in coaching for the money. I want to basically get back in coaching. That's basically what he's saying. So it was a good story with Ross Dellinger if you wanted to read it and check it out. Now, interested to see if that, like, obviously this means Jimbo's trying to get his name in the mix, right, and be talked about for other jobs. And you know, one of the things about that happened at A&M, and I had a bunch of players there and friends there that I knew that coached, and just the culture that was at A&M, it was a problem. Like it wasn't talent, it wasn't resources, and a la Jimbo giving them, you know, a tons of millions. I think 70 million to go away. If you're giving somebody 70 million to go away, it's because it's not going to get fixed and you've got a real problem. And so obviously you watch it turn around with Elko. So do I think Jimbo Fisher is going to go get a big job somewhere? I don't. Like, and I know this is what you do, and this is how you get your name out there. And this is and I hope he gets a coaching gig. To watch the raw emotion of him on camera, I thought it was really cool. And I hope he gets another job. I just don't think it'll be a big time job. And I think he could get a power forward job that wants a coach that's offensive, that was innovative, and take another chance on him. Because here's another thing too. We've seen a lot of coaches with redemption stories as well, that it didn't go great or went great and then it kind of got bad, and then you see them get back to life again. And Bobby Petrino's one to look out for, because I'm not convinced he doesn't get the Arkansas job. And I'm not convinced they didn't bring him there with that thought in mind to begin with. So, you know, Jimbo Fisher, another name to throw in the carousel, right? Like all of the coaching carousel stuff. And if you want to add another one, On Three throws another name in there. And you're going to love this name. It's Ed Orgeron. Like Ed O, who also won a championship. Jimbo won a championship. Ed O won a championship. Like, these are two coaches that have championship pedigree when you start looking at hires. So when you start to go make a hire and you're not at LSU and you're not at a lot of these big time schools that are going to want a coach that's on the rise or that's at its peak, like now you start going for guys like this. And Edo is a unique personality, like unique. Love him. One of one, for gosh sakes. Like there is no other Ed Orgeron with a shirt on or with a shirt off. Like the way he talks is fantastic. His personality is fantastic. Now, listen, if you want to get some backstories from that LSU squad, it's a whole podcast, bro. Like literally the stuff that was going on at LSU when they won the championship, and he held it all together somehow, some way. I mean, I swear to goodness, it's a 30 for 30. It's unbelievable stories. But you look at Ed, always been an extremely good recruiter. You know, always had good passion, good energy, good motivation. Is he a guy that is going to be high on the list? No. Is he a guy that could bring some name recognition somewhere and maybe get some people excited about it? Possibly. But those are two coaches, man. Again, they've won national championships. They've got big name recognition. They've made a lot of money. So they're not going back into coaching to make more money. Like, that's a good thing. Like, if you're hiring a guy that wants to go be great, develop, and maybe take a next step for your program, but I think you have to do that. They have to go somewhere else before they go somewhere big time. Somewhere big time is not going to hire Jimbo Fisher and Ed Orgeron. Like, but if they go show it somewhere and prove it in the new era of college football, because it's a new era from when they coached, they go show it and prove it, that's a name that those are two names that down the road I think could be names for big-time jobs. The guy you need to know that's another name in this too is Dan Mullen. Like, remember, we're all forgetting now that Dan Mullen had a 10-win season at Florida and actually was pretty good at Florida. Like, considering they fired coaches, left and right, they had an expectation that was higher than they wanted, than they thought they were. Like, they weren't that good right when they were. Dan Mullen had some really good years. He's another one going to UNLV and doing as well as he has. Like, not surprised that Dan Mullen is going to be a name that should be thrown around. And Dan knows how to coach, especially offensively. The dude he'll make it happen. He'll find ways to make an offense move to tick. He's got a cool personality. He's kind of got that poke the bear a little bit too to him, which I love. All right, Brent, we kicked this around yesterday. I was asking Brent, and I loved it because he didn't know the answer. And if I ask Brent something and he doesn't know the answer, I absolutely love it. So I think it's something that we have to bring up because I'm talking about like the best teams in college football, and I'm going, okay, number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, Indiana. Number 3, A&M. And I was like, all right, Brent, what's something that sticks out about them? What's something that is different about them than everybody else in college football? And I would even extend this to number 4, Alabama. And here's what I was thinking about. I'm like, okay, stopping these offenses, because all the offenses are potent, here's what makes them unique. And Brent's going to have all kinds of numbers for you, I'm sure. Like, here's what makes it awesome and super cool. The reason they're 1, 2, and 3 is very simple. That's the 3 best 1-2 punches at wide receiver in the country. Like, it's one thing to have one guy to stop. It's another thing when you got 2. Like, as a defense, I can scheme one guy and stop him. When you got 2, man, you're a pain in my arse because I can put them on the same side of the field, like in the slot, obviously out wide. So now what are you going to do? You can't send all of your resources to the other side of the field. Like, obviously, I can put them on each side. If you want to play man coverage, I'm good. Okay, you want to keep 2 safeties over the top? Okay, I can run the football. And then let me tell you something. When you do that and you throw a running quarterback in there, I hate you. I hate you. You're fired. Get the freak out of here. Like, because now there's no answers. Like, it's literally no answers. And that's another topic. But think about that. Like, Jeremiah Smith and Tate. So Smith and Tate, like, Jeremiah Smith now from a number standpoint might not be the top guy. We all know what Jeremiah Smith is.
So you want to take these one at a time?
Yeah,
so
sure. Let's go Ohio State.
Tate.
Yeah.
So obviously I work for PFF, and we got some numbers and data that we always provide as it relates to PFF. Carnell Tate, number 2 overall graded receiver right now. Jeremiah Smith, number 9. And the unique thing you said about all 3 of these teams, the tandems, they're only 3 teams with 2 receivers in the top 20.
Yeah, baby. I love original content that nobody has. Brent, that's why we have to do some of this stuff. I love it. Like something unique
and also
something different.
When you see things and then the data backs up those things.
Yeah.
Like almost 1,200 yards receiving, 13 touchdowns between the 2 of them. Carnell Tate, 10 of 11 on contested catches. 10 of 11.
Let me ask you a question too,
unreal.
Brent. Do you think Jeremiah Smith's the number 9 receiver in college football?
No.
To the no.
It's
like
just
the numbers obviously
when we're done with it, I have a rant. If you'll allow me a rant, I have a rant about that.
Is it angry Brent? I want angry Brent. I like cantankerous angry Brent. All right. So that's number 1. Yep. And by the way, it's really nice to play quarterback with those guys. All 3 of these guys. Like, you don't have to be elite of elite. Like, you can be, and that's one thing to consider moving forward when you start spending resources. I think we need to say, do I spend more on the wide receiver position? A la A&M, so let's go to number 3, who bought both of them. And that's okay. It's legal, by the way. That's not illegal. But both those guys are transfers. Casey Concepcion, we saw come from NC State. Mario Craver, we saw come from Mississippi State. Like, speedsters that can fly. After the catch, so good. What you got numbers-wise for them? Because after the catch, I can't imagine there's 2 better guys in the country.
Not much. In terms of their yardage almost equals the output of the other 4 receivers or the other combos, but way like 13 less receptions. So yards per reception, a lot more explosive. But Craver's 5th overall, 87.2 overall grade. Concepcion is 14th. And the only reason he's 14th is because he's got 3 drops. And that's the most of any one of these players. If he had less drop or 2, he'd be right up there in the top 10 with the others. But yes, both of those 2 top 14 guys in terms of PFF grade. So yes, exactly your point.
Yeah, those guys, I would say I would say those guys are the most dangerous. Like most dangerous with the football in their hands. Like when
Craver's
they catch
number one in the country in yak per reception.
Yeah, when they catch the ball, man, it's a different level of skedaddle. It's a different level of go. Like it's an uncomfortable feeling of me trying to tackle you in the open field. Like I don't like that. Like and that's why it marries up with really well with. I would argue that their quarterback play probably is the worst of the three. Not probably.
Most inconsistent.
Most inconsistent of the three. But those guys, I don't have to always have clear. I don't have to be contested catches because I can run freaking by people. The speed is so.
How far can I throw it? Or how quick can I get it?
The speed is so nasty and legit.
All right, last one. Indiana. Cooper and Surratt. Cooper is one who's been at Indiana the whole time. Surratt came from JMU, but Cooper's fourth, 87.5 all grade. Surratt third. So two of the top four are Indiana's receivers, and the production level from all these guys are about equal in terms of almost 1,200 yards, double-digit touchdowns with the combo. Your point is valid. We kind of talked about it a little bit with when Dallas Wilson came back for Florida and the sort of exponential factor that it made for that
easier
offense.
To play offense.
It's easier to play offense when you got big, strong, fast dudes that you can throw it to. Very much so.
Yeah. So to me, the takeaway is, man, like the receiving position isn't the most highly invested, but we might start getting that way like the NFL. The NFL is getting more and more about, I got a dude, he can win, I'm going to pay him some money. So I look forward to that, in the future in college football. I think we could see more of that because that's significant. Having a guy that can win consistently. So interesting facts about the top three teams in the country that have something different than everybody else. And Alabama's right there, man. Like they're not as good at the position, but they're really, really good. Wesley, what we got, Wesley?
I got your Big 12. I got your Big 12 update of the night because we love the Big 12 here on See Ball Get Ball. Don't let anybody tell you differently. So BYU stormed the field after the Holy War after beating Utah, and the Big 12 was going to fine BYU for that. They just fine Arizona State. They fine other teams, and it typically runs about $50K to do that. Well, the CEO of Crumble Cookies, I know you eat a lot of those, DP, Jason McGowan, in the locker room after the game said, hey, don't worry about the crowd storming. I got you. I got your back. I'm going to cover that. I'm going to pay for it. Well, for undisclosed reasons, the Big 12 said that they weren't going to fine BYU for that. They waived it. They didn't say why. I don't know. I guess they really want the schools to be punished. I don't know what the deal is there. But this is the coolest story I saw today. Jason McGowan tweeted, no fine for BYU, so here's the play instead. I'm going to give that money to our NIL instead, which is great. I mean, how cool is that? You storm the field, you beat Utah, you get the Crumble Cookie money, and on top of that, he says he's going to pay all of the lunch debt for Provo City and Salt Lake City schools. So the kids are winning too. I mean,
everybody's winning.
It's awesome. Is that not the coolest thing you saw today?
So that is awesome. Here's my question, Wesley. What's the field storming? Because Adam Rooks makes a great point in the chat. Because when you said $50K for field storming, I was like, that's not a lot of money. Because I'm sure it's at least $100K in certain conferences. Like
it's six figures in other conferences. Yes.
Okay.
So that is an interesting point. I don't know how many boosters, but I guess the moral of the story is if you're in the Big 12, just get a rich booster to pay for it. Maybe Cody Campbell can start paying those tortilla fines if they want to keep doing it because you'll get away with it and then everybody will win. I thought that was sweet.
Hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
How'd you know I was going to say that?
Were you going to say that?
And that's the way the cookie crumbles. Bruce Almighty, right?
Oh, yeah. What a great movie. All right, Podium Kings?
I'll hang out. We got Podium Kings.
Yeah.
So first up in our Podium Kings rundown, we talked about the coaches. We talked about we're going to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners with an Oklahoma legend, Dusty Dvoracek, coming up in a few minutes. Brent Venables talking about Trinidad Chambliss and facing the Ole Miss quarterback. Brent sent this one in, not Brent Venables, Brent Rollins. I love how this ball coach lingo gets in at Podium Kings, and this is what Brent Venables really thinks after reading all the stats of Trinidad.
8 touchdowns, only one interception on the year. He's rushed for 323 yards, so about 50 yards a game, just enough to kind of piss you off.
Says it all, right?
That is perfect. Like, that is perfect Venables, and that is exactly what Trinidad does. Like, he does just enough with his feet to piss you off, just enough to keep you off balance where you're not going to go, I'm going to play the pass the whole entire game. Like, just enough where 3rd and long where you put that little bit of doubt in your head, or 2nd and long, do I want to rush this cat? That is perfectly stated from no-nonsense Brent Venables.
I know y'all already did your picks today and you're leaning OU, but the fact that Trinidad went into Sanford Stadium and wasn't phased at all, they kind of didn't know how to close it. A little dangerous going into OU this week. All right, Mike Elko talking about coaches. A reporter asked him if he's talked to his team about potentially getting the Penn State job. I don't understand these press conferences sometimes, man, but you got to get the questions off. And here's how Mike Elko handled that.
I think 3 weeks ago I was getting fired. Now I'm getting hired. Now I got that you don't want me to stay, but I'm Like, it's absolutely hilarious. It is a waste of brain space to spend any time talking or thinking about any of that stupidity.
Waste of brain space.
Waste of brain space. But you know what he didn't say, Wes?
What's that?
He didn't say, I'm not interested in the job.
That's a good point.
He didn't say that. And I get it, but like, it's that time of year when we have these guys, and I don't think Elko's going to leave, but I know Elko's on the list, and I know he's getting talked to, and I know one thing too, he'll probably get a raise because it's raise season. Everybody gets a raise. Everybody who wants to be, hey, listen, don't squash it too much, bro, because you want that money. Like, you're going to get that extra extension, but Elko obviously has done an amazing job taking over for Jimbo Fisher and steadying the ship and winning right away. Like, he's been like A&M, I think the boosters will find whatever they need to find. If they need to find cookies or tortillas, whatever it is, it don't matter. They'll find it. Yeah,
BYU is going to be tossing crumble cookies. All right, last one, and this is pertinent to our guest tonight. Dusty Dvoracek covering the Georgia Tech-Syracuse game, and Georgia Tech fans are not happy about what Fran Brown had to say about the game.
I think that this is when you find out who's a real football coach and who isn't.
I think maybe a little bit blown out of proportion, college football fans taking offense to things that they shouldn't. I think Fran hit the nail on the head. Syracuse is dangerous, not doing as well as Georgia Tech is, but that's how Fran Brown rolls, baby.
Fran Brown doesn't mince words at all. Neither does Dusty Dvoracek. Like, the man's man. I love the lid, man. I love you got the cap on. I talked about it earlier, homie, like bringing you on. I've always appreciated your passion for the game, your love for the game. Like, you can feel it. What hat are you wearing right there, though, just for America, so America can figure that out?
Well, this is the state of Oklahoma. And then one of my old teammates, his company, that's their logo. So he had these we have a lake house in northeastern Oklahoma. And I've kind of rekindled with a bunch of my old teammates. We have lake houses out there. And so this was the summer hat that he put together. Okay. So rocking the state of Oklahoma with the scissor tail logo here. So props to my boy Corey Klein, an old defensive lineman you'd appreciate, who's done well for himself. And I mean, if you could make branded Bills hats and logos, I mean, life's pretty good, right?
Life is good. Who other teammates are out there that we might know about? Who's on that lake, man?
Trent Smith was an All-American tight end that's out there hanging out with us. You'll love this. So this was probably about 3 years ago. I just turned 40, and it was like, I don't know how it was for you. You and I are about the same age. You might be just a little older than me, but it's like life kind of hits you. And it's like you've got to become very intentional about, we've all got kids, we've all got jobs, we've got lives, you got to be intentional about the people you see. So I got together with my buddy Corey, and it's like, we got to try to do something to get the guys back together. Like, we got to bring the guys back together. So we each had lake houses, and we've done it now 3 straight summers. As a matter of fact, I've actually got the cup here since you're asking about it. We do this thing called Bob's Boys. So if you played for Bob Stoops, that's kind of the thing. So I think last year we had like 22 guys, and we do it the weekend before Memorial Day, and we try to invite as many guys as possible. Everybody's got crazy, schedules, but we try to do something to come back together, tell the same stories every year, but
they just get better though, right?
They do, but it's this thing. It's like only those guys know what we each went through. And it's like there's this bond and there's this connection, and I can go a year without seeing them and 10 years without seeing them, and bam, you throw us back together in a room, and it's like we never missed a beat. I'm sure it's similar with you and your old teammates. So we try to do that, try to be very intentional about keeping up those relationships and making sure that even if it's just 1 week in a year, we get a chance to see each other, spend some time with each other. We do that. Cool. So it's been cool, man. It's been great.
I like that. All right.
Chicken soup for the soul is what I call it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You get with your boys. The stories get better and more legendary as the years goes along. It's also good, man. The kids grow up and they get to see your boys and tell stories, and they get to hear them as well. But all right. So speaking of coaches and podium kings, what we just did, Fran Brown, Syracuse, Georgia Tech. I know you've watched these games. You've watched these teams. Like Georgia Tech feels like first it's their highest ranking since '99. Some Georgia Tech fans would say they're underrated. They need to be ranked a little bit higher. Like, what have you seen about Georgia Tech that you can share with everybody?
Well, I had them in the opener against Colorado when they, had 3 turnovers in the first 3 possessions and literally tried to give that game away. But I think they showed us week 1 what they're about, who they are, the toughness they play with, the way that they're able to win close, hard-fought games. So, look, I love Brent Key. I think he's fabulous. And I think from his first game when he took over, Jeff Collins had taken that program off into the ditch. And he comes in week 1, they beat a ranked Pitt team. And it's like you knew immediately something's different. And they've just been building and building for this season. And what I've seen from this team is what I kind of thought. Like, I thought this team going into the year with the schedule was going to be a fringe playoff team and a team that could make the ACC championship. And they sit here 7-0, and that's exactly who they are. Now, it hadn't been perfect, man. If you look at the Wake Forest game, they could have easily lost that game.
They got lucky.
Slopped it around.
They got lucky. They got lucky with that offsides. He was offsides. Like it was a bad call by the ref.
It was because that's ball game, right? If they call it right, they need the game out and they lose that. But they didn't. So what happened? They got the ball. They go down. They kick a field goal. They win it in overtime. Give them credit for, hey, they're not the referees. They don't make the rules. And then I thought last week against Duke, that's a game that I thought should have been probably Duke 17-0 at halftime. I thought Duke dominated the first half of that game. But Georgia Tech just hung around. They got the 92-yard scoop and score. They played good defense. They never got an offensive touchdown, David, until the fourth quarter. And then Haynes King got going. And really, I think, to me, it'd be 1-2, Haynes King, Diego Pavia, for a true MVP. Who is the most important player to their team in college football? Not who's the Heisman Trophy winner, not who's the most outstanding player, not who's going to go number 1 in the draft next year, but who is the most important player to their team. And I think Haynes King is in that conversation. The toughness he plays with, the leadership he possesses. It's funny. We were talking to him today. You'll love this. So his dad was his football coach, and his dad was a former offensive lineman. And so he said he was raised like a lineman his entire life. Just the toughness and everything about it. Like he was
also called a sissy by his dad, was he not?
That's exactly right. He was.
Yes.
And so now that Brent Key's taken over, he says it reminds him like he feels like he's back being coached by his dad. And he said that Brent Key is very similar to his dad in mindset and what they preach and what they're about and how they go about thinking the game of football should be played. So it really is just like this perfect fit and the situation that's come together. And I just think there's a lot of belief within that locker room that those guys are going to be able to make the plays that they need to make and win football games. And I love Buster Faulkner's offense. Like
so good.
They run more variations of counter than anyone I've ever seen. I mean, they're just making up different ways to run the counter, whether it's Q counter, running back counter. And as a former defensive player, I mean, that's tough. They give you eye candy. They throw a lot at you. But I love the physicality they play with. I love the way they run the ball. It's a defense that under Blake Gideon has gotten better throughout the course of the season. And I'm intrigued to see where they go from here. Fran Brown, and I heard the comments you guys played coming in. He's a really good coach now. I mean, you guys know it there at Georgia. He's a great recruiter. And I think he took the college football world by kind of storm and shock last year with what he was able to do. I wish Steve Angeli hadn't gotten hurt. I would have loved to seen what this team was capable of with him at the helm, because you got to remember now, when he got hurt, they beat the brakes off of Clemson. I mean, that wasn't even close. They went into Clemson in a game that Dabo really needed, and they whipped them 6 ways from Sunday. And Angeli was dealing. And
he was.
And now you've got, a situation with Ricky Collins that he's just struggling right now. And if he can break through, maybe they can get back on the right side of things, hopefully for the competitive nature of our game's sake on Saturday. That's coming up this weekend. But, he's just struggled, I think, seeing the field, some of his accuracy. And I know that, Fran Brown is sticking by his guy and they're saying the right things, but it'll be a tall task to go in there to Atlanta on Saturday and get this victory. But I can't wait. I can promise you this, Fran Brown, he ain't waving a white flag, and he's not giving up anytime soon.
He going to run that mouth too, which I love. I'm here for it. Like, he's just uber competitive, which I love. All right, you got that state of Oklahoma hat on. Pretty big game with Oklahoma this week. Now, I got to preface this because you're kind of an Ole Miss fan, because I have seen you do hot yoga with Lane Kiffin. So,
I love Ole Miss.
I mean, I'm just saying, you've been in the hot chair. By the way, that hot yoga took you down a little bit, didn't it? Like, bro, you and Lane doing some hot yoga. Be honest.
You have no idea. I thought I was going to tap out. They put the room on, like, I want to say it was like 115, 118. And first of all, I'm not the most flexible cat. You know what I mean? Like, I've lost a lot of weight. I'm down about my fighting weight, walking around weight's about 240 compared to about 305 when I played. So I'm a little bit leaner and meaner, but that yoga poses, that's a different ball game. So first of all, I was a little bit out of my element anyway. And then you throw on 120 degrees for an hour, bro. There was like 3 moments whenever I was like, I don't know if you remember, like, it took me back to summer workouts and my face was getting fuzzy. And it was like my vision was a little bit cloudy. And I just kept telling myself, I got Lane right here next to me. And he's like going through it like a champ. Like, I mean, this dude does it every day. And he's like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, I'm going to pass out. Like, and this is day of the game. And I'm like, I'm going to go down. Big tree going to fall hard, bro. Like, but I was like, and there were people leaving the room. I'm like, there's no way. Like, I can't, in front of Coach Kiffin, I can't leave the room and tap out. Like, that's not my DNA. So we pushed through. It took everything I had, but we survived, baby. We survived and thrived.
You had one of Trinidad's first starts, didn't you? Like, what do you think of
his first start? His
first start. So what did they tell you about Trinidad and the offense and what they thought about him and all the things Trinidad?
That's the word that Charlie Weiss Jr. used, and that's the word that Lane used. He's a baller. And they threw out the comparison Charlie Weiss threw out was he's got some Baker Mayfield in him. And I thought, oh, you want to grab my attention? That's going to grab my attention. But they said just kind of the confidence and swagger he brings to the table, his ability to throw the football down the field with velocity and accuracy. And then when the play breaks down, just make a play, right? Like, to keep plays alive, the scramble aspect of his game, and whether he becomes a runner or a thrower. Now, truth be told, again, I don't love comparing guys, but that's what they said. He's a more dangerous runner than Baker ever was. Now, he's got a long way to go to be the overall quarterback Baker Mayfield was, but that was how they described him to us. And I just thought, interesting, because prior to that, we'd only seen his tape in the Kentucky game, which was kind of just Q run, right? They didn't really do a whole lot with him. They brought him in. Simmons had hurt his ankle. He was in some short yardage stuff, and then they iced that game away. But we saw very quickly what they saw. And he's got a quick trigger, good release. Ball comes out hot. I think that the comms help them immensely. And it's what enables, he's a veteran guy. He obviously played a lot at Ferris State. So he's 24, but he only got there in May. And so for them to be able to go all the way up into the 15 and give him all that information in the headset. It's so valuable for a guy like Trinidad Chambliss. And as you know, if the listeners don't, but as you know, like, so when they go fast, right, and they go warp speed fast up on the football, they force you to get lined up. Okay. They force you to show your hand. Now, bam, Charlie Weiss can get in his ear. This is what I'm seeing. This is the go-to. Here's the hot, and so he's got all this information. And since they get up there so quick, even if the defense, even if they want to check, they have time to check and he can still get that information. That's one of the brilliant parts about them getting up there so fast. There's still plenty of time for him to either run the play that's called or get another play and be able to execute that at a high level. So I think the other thing that really helps him, David, is Kewan Lacey's a dog, man. That dude he going to make you miss now. He got some shake, some wiggle, and he'll also get behind his pads and run through you. Like Ahmad Hardy is fabulous at Missouri. I put Kewan Lacey and him right there 1-2 as far as toughest guys I've watched live to tackle. And I think that is going to be another factor in this, especially in some of their, inside zone, read zone action. What do you want to take away if you're Oklahoma? You want to take away Trinidad and you want to potentially open up a little bit for Kewan Lacey. You want to take away Kewan Lacey and say, we're going to be able to deal with Trinidad Chambliss on the perimeter by ourselves. I think how Brent Venables decides to defend that, some of those read zone situations they're going to be put in, I think it's going to be a football game.
Yeah, that voice you hear is Dusty Dvoracek joining us on C-Ball Get Ball. Yes, you heard him right. He was 3 bills, 305. But Lane Kiffin almost took him down in hot yoga. All right, so you got Trinidad, and you have obviously Ole Miss. Now, Georgia wants a word about Lacey because they shut him down.
Yeah.
Now, Oklahoma. Like, I'm watching Mateer. I am president of the Mateer fan club. I was before the season started, Dusty. Like, I was all about him. I loved him. I'm a big fan. The ball doesn't look the same right now. Am I correct, like, in saying that? And where do you think he's at health-wise?
It doesn't down the field. Like, I think in the short horizontal throws, I think the ball's coming out clean. I think he's got velocity. I see a tight spiral. But down the field, which they didn't throw it much. I don't know if you go back and watch that South Carolina game, they didn't put it down the field very much. And even when they did, the accuracy was off. So I don't know exactly where he's at going into this game. Clearly, it was an issue against Texas, and he was not back to his true self last week. They need him to get back to his true self because I think that you've got to challenge this Ole Miss defense at all three levels. And if they don't have the ability to drive the ball down the field and take the top off the defense, that's going to make life a little bit more difficult. So I wish I had a great answer for you. I don't. I'm just thinking that we're this much further removed from the surgery, and I'm hopeful that some of that accuracy that he needs down the field is going to be back here this week. And I also think too, I'm curious how much of an impact he can have as a runner. Blaylock was great last week, and it was really good to see Oklahoma finally run the football. And I don't know how many people have paid attention to this freshman, but he can go now. Kid's got juice. And they've needed some because they haven't had a lot of juice from the running back position in a couple of years. But he's got really good burst, and he can get to the perimeter. And I've been really impressed with him. Even though he's about 205, he can get behind his pads a little bit too. So I thought that was great just to see him with 19 touches, handing him the football. And I want to see more of that. But earlier in the season, John Mateer, and again, it's like you don't want him to have to be your leading rusher. But as you know very well, my friend, that's a problem for defenses.
Sucks.
There's a lot of times that you can't account for it, right? Yeah. And I think that's going to be a dynamic. I think that the quarterback that can have more success on the ground is going to be a real factor in this ball game. And I'd be surprised if we don't see John Mateer try to impact this game on the ground with his legs.
All right, let me ask you a question, Dusty. Now, this is going to be a hard one for you to answer, okay? I'm a defensive guy too. I love defense. I'm extremely curious for this Oklahoma defense. I want you to tell me how good they are. I think they're good. But here's the thing. Here's my caveat. Michigan's not a good offense.
Fair.
Temple's not a good offense. Auburn's not a good offense. Kent State's not a good offense. Right. Texas isn't a great offense. They scored on special teams, obviously, that's some of it. South Carolina ain't a good offense. So I don't know if Oklahoma's defense is elite, like they're shutting people out right now and leading the nation in yards given up and turning people over, or when they start to play Ole Miss and Tennessee and Alabama, who can put some points up and score. How great is Oklahoma's defense?
We're going to find out. But I think the defensive line is excellent.
Dirty.
I think that, so to me, if you can control the line of scrimmage and pressure the quarterback, lead the country in sacks with 28, you got a chance to play really good defense. How good is the back end? I think it's a fair question. I don't think they've really been challenged. Lenora Sellers is a talent, but the passing game is abysmal. The offensive line doesn't give him a chance. I mean, the reality is Arch Manning has been the best quarterback they've faced. And Arch Manning has struggled against just about everybody so far this season. So there's no doubt. Trinidad Chambliss and this passing attack, Deuce Alexander, these wide receivers, they're going to pose the biggest threat Oklahoma's dealt with. And, oh, by the way, they're going to do it and try to get them misaligned, tired, off explosive plays. They're going to be up at the ball, snapping it as soon as they can. So we'll find out. But one thing I do trust, R. Mason Thomas, Taylor Wine, David Stone, Jaden Jackson. These are dogs, bro. These are guys that you and I would put our hand next to and say, let's go to work. Like, these guys are nasty. R. Mason Thomas is playing with a serious edge this season. I'm telling you, if you haven't watched this, Taylor Wine kid is playing out of control. He's 6'4", 275. He's just a sophomore, and I think he's playing as well as anybody as they have up front. So that's what gives me, confidence that this defense can still succeed. If you can't, there's penetration and there's nowhere to run, the back seven don't matter as much. If a quarterback is under duress and you're only having to bring four, boy, it helps the guys on the back end. So I think this defensive line gives them the chance to be elite, but it's a fair point you make and a valid question. How good are they? And I don't think we'll really know until this 3-game stretch of really good offenses faces this team. But I can tell you, going into this game, it's good on good. It's a top 10 offense. It's the number 1 yards per game, yards per play defense, and explosive plays in this one, I think is going to be a huge factor. This is an Ole Miss offense that lives off explosives, and then that's when they get on the football and they really catch you on your heels. They get you misaligned. They get you miscommunicating, and then they can attack. Oklahoma's top 10 in explosive plays given up. They don't give up a lot of explosives. So I think that's another factor in this game. If Ole Miss can't create the explosive plays, if they have to kind of go down in, down out, I think that's a huge advantage for the Sooners defense in this one.
Yeah. Where's the biggest game you want to go next? Like the biggest game of the weekend, whether it's Missouri-Vandy, A&M, LSU, South Florida, Memphis is going to be awesome. BYU, Iowa State, Baylor, Cincinnati. There's a bunch of them.
It's Missouri-Vanderbilt, bro. Like I can't. I love what Clark Lee is doing, and I'm a huge fan of Eli Drinkwitz. Like I love both of these teams. I had Missouri already this year against South Carolina. I got mad respect. One of your old Georgia Bulldogs is balling out. Wilson off the edge. I think him and Zion Young are an excellent defensive end tandem. I like the way they run that outside zone. I know Ahmad Hardy's been held in check a little bit the last couple of weeks, but I like the makeup of this team. I thought they're in position to beat Bama a few weeks ago, right? Perbula's got the ball in his hands with a chance to win it. Obviously throws it to the wrong team and Bama gets the win. But to watch them go on the road and just find a way. So I don't know if they found a way to win or Hugh Freeze and Auburn found a way to lose, but either way, Missouri walked out of there with a victory, probably a little bit of both. But yeah. I love this game, and I don't know how anybody can turn on a Vanderbilt game and not love watching Diego Pavia. You ain't got to like him. You don't have to like maybe some of the antics, but But the guy is must-see TV.
Must see.
And, you know, I know that his mentor is Johnny Manziel. I don't know if I'd recommend that. But those two, it is eerily similar, David, the way that he plays and the way Johnny played. There is a backyard football feel to his game, but outside of Bama, for the most part, he takes care of the ball. So it's like, even though it's kind of this backyard, feels kind of out of control, and he's just ad-libbed making plays, it's like there's ball control. They can control the line of scrimmage with a physical offensive line. Again, typically low turnover, low penalty team. They're disciplined. It's like his play is a little undisciplined, but everything else around him for Clark Lee is very disciplined. And it's a defense that, since Clark Lee's taken over, is playing a lot better. I think this is going to be a game that comes down to the end, and I think it's going to be awesome. And the winner of this game has to be taken very seriously, right? As a legitimate college football playoff, candidate, right? I mean, I don't see any other way around it. I don't think the loser is out of it, though. I think both have some games that can they run the table? But the winner of this game really puts themselves in a great spot to do something that I don't think anybody was talking about preseason, and get into the month of November in a great position to make the CFP.
That's dirty. And my favorite so far Manziel quote, by the way, Dusty Dvoracek joining us, is, "What's the difference between you and Johnny football?" And Mateer's quote was, "I go to church on Sundays."
That was good. That was good.
That was fantastic. So another Johnny reference, because he's got some Johnny to him too as well. All right, you called the upset a couple weeks ago with Miami and Louisville. I guess not a couple weeks ago. God, it feels like a couple weeks ago, but it was last Friday. Yeah. How good is Miami? How much do you think about them moving forward? Because the ACC's an absolute shoot show. Of what it is and where it might become, but specifically to Miami, and I guess you can go ACC too, or anything Louisville, whatever, about calling that game.
Yeah, I want to start with Jeff Brom. Everybody wants to know about Miami. To me, Miami's a huge story, but let's give Jeff Brom some stinking credit now. Dude's a ball coach, boy. I mean,
I've already hired him. I've already hired him in Gainesville, Dusty.
Well, would he take it? You know, he's from like, grew up in Louisville. Like, so
is there a better guy for that job than Jeff Brom?
I mean, if Lane would take it, which I don't think Lane would take it, no. I mean, I think he's right there. I think Jeff Brom is probably that next guy. I think Lane is your number one target, and I think after that, Jeff Brom is probably where you go. You know, so this is crazy. Crazy little stat we gave it the other night. Since he was at Purdue, since he's been in the Power 4, he's played 4 top 5 teams in the regular season. He's 4-0. He's 4-0. And you want to hear a crazier stat? 3 of those, yours truly was on the call. So I don't know if I need a tip or something going on there, but I've been there for 3 of them. And
so you heard it, America. If Dusty's doing a top 5 game with Brom, you better take Brom and company.
Go with Jeff Brom. It's good as gold. But I've got to watch firsthand his teams go out and execute, and games weren't supposed to. And I just thought the way they took that game, different formations, they utilized the bye week. They threw everything in the kitchen sink at Miami. They run a fake field goal. They get out to this 14-0 lead, and then they let their defense go to work. And that defense is nasty, brother. They are fast. They're not real big, but they are fast. They fly around. They are fundamentally sound. They can take the ball away. And I know we'll get to Carson Beck, but and a couple of those were on him. Some of those were flat out great plays by that Louisville defense, just going up and making plays. I mean, and so I do think, their only loss was to Virginia. In that loss, they had they gave up 2 defensive touchdowns. There was a scoop and score for Virginia to pick 6.
Yep.
And you can't go back and rewrite that. But if you watch the game, Louisville actually outplayed them. I don't know if Virginia can
Pitt
run
outplayed
the table.
Louisville the week before, and Louisville found a way to win. So it
balances
works
out. No, you're exactly right. But I think the ACC is going to be wild. Can Georgia Tech run the table? Can Virginia run the table? If they can't, that's going to open the door. We're going to have to really get well versed on our tiebreaker scenarios. The team to also keep an eye on is Pitt. You mentioned Pitt. Since they brought in Mason Heinschel, kid can play, and he's got a little dog to him too, the true freshman. And I believe what they have, I think at the end of the season, I know that they have Notre Dame. They've also got Miami last game of the season. Like, they could be a team that throws a wrinkle into some of these teams coming down the stretch. So I would keep an eye on them. But I still believe in Miami. Probably dumb of me too, but I'm not giving up on Miami. Like, what's wild is Miami could finish 11-1, not even make the ACC championship, which, by the way, is what Jim Phillips is dreaming for. That would be an ideal situation. If Miami runs the table and they don't get into the ACC championship, which, by the way, they still haven't ever, will have not won an ACC championship, which is wild, that would be the perfect scenario. And then you would guarantee yourself 2. And depending on how it shook out in that, I think 3 is a long shot, but at least get you in that conversation. So I think that's the dream scenario. But the thing that concerned me the most, I think, about Miami, aside from the Beck 4 picks, which I know you and probably a lot of your listeners, the Georgia fans, are just chomping at the bit to dive into. Where the heck was the running game? This offensive line is one of the biggest offensive lines in the country. 15 pounds a man, bigger than the Miami Dolphins offensive line. And they ran it for like 63 yards.
All right, Dusty, let me ask you a question. About that. I watched tape, and I watched every single play of that game, and I watched their offense, and I've watched Miami enough. I think it's fair to say the condensed formations, when you bring 11 people into the box, for gosh sakes, can you get some people out of the box?
I don't know why they do that. Spread it out.
You make it hard on yourself. You got
Brontosaurus
playing tackle for you.
Tight bunches.
And I get it. I get it. But I mean, I just don't think they help themselves. All right, I got to get a few more things from you. Okay. Yeah. You've seen Houston this year. Houston plays Arizona State. I wanted to, but I didn't have the onions to pull the trigger. I think it's a 23-20 game. I think Arizona State's banged up off of a big win. Can Houston beat Arizona State?
Games in Houston, correct?
No, it's in Arizona State.
I like Arizona State. I think that win, I think the loss to Utah, I think that it woke them up. I think it woke them up. And Sam Leavitt missed that game. Sam Leavitt back. They're a different team. Is there a better, there is few better combinations than Sam Leavitt, Jordan Tyson. I respect the heck out of Willie Fritz. I like the Sun Devils at home. Probably a close game, but they know how to win close games. Look at the TCU win. Look at the Baylor win. Arizona State, they got a championship pedigree to them. I think after getting smacked upside the head in Salt Lake City, I think they're going to wake up, as we saw against Tech.
Well, it's because they got Jesus. He keeps making those kicks for him. That dude keeps coming up clutch. Y'all thought that meant something else. All right. You've seen Notre Dame as well. Does Notre Dame look like a playoff team to you?
100%. I think that backfield, brother, wow. Everybody thought Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen was the best backfield in the country. No.
Not some people before the season. Some people before the season and caught a lot of flack for it.
They need Wesley. To listen to you. Hey, that Jeremiah Love, I don't think he gets out of the top 10. Different, man. And his ability to catch the ball in the backfield, he has got burst. He can run through you. And I just love Jadarian Price. 2 kick returns now, and then what he brings, that combination. And by the way, CJ Carr is an absolute dude. So, and it's a defense. I think Leonard Moore is the best corner in the country. And it's a defense under Chris Ash that I just think has consistently gotten better. Even against USC, that's a root offense. They shut them down for the most part of that game. I don't think Notre Dame loses the rest of the season. The question that we kind of had on our morning show, Cannell and I, was can they host? Because I don't think they can. I don't think they can get all the way up to 8. But I do think this is a team, like we saw last year, overcome the early deficiencies, and I think they're going to run it out, win 10 straight, and get in the playoff.
Attaboy. Now, you mentioned your radio show, SiriusXM. Who do you partner with? Danny Cannell. You mentioned him. How miserable has that sucker been to be around, considering watching Florida State tank again? The troll that Danny is, to be able to throw shades at Bama was his favorite thing in the world. And then now his team is, oh boy. It's looking like last year's team again.
It's tough, man. You know, I try not to rub it in too much. You know, I mean, it's
You're a better man than me.
I'm not the troll that Danny is. Just because some people troll doesn't mean you have to troll the troll. And it's kind of tough to watch. 9 straight ACC losses, man. Like it's wild. The loss at Stanford last week shocked me. Like I thought, and I did the Pitt game. I was there for that loss, and I just thought they're going to bounce back. And they go out there, and I don't know where Tommy Castellanos is. You know what his status is after that vicious hit, but
yeah, that was vicious.
I don't. What can Mike? I mean, what does Mike Norvell, I guess, have to do to win back over the fan base? Can he? If he wins out, I guess that's what he's got to do. I think that's a big if. I mean, when you look at that schedule, they still got to go to Clemson. They still got, even though I know Florida, who knows what they get from Florida? They still got players. They still got dudes. There's still some tough games left on that schedule, and I worry about that situation. I know that they kind of kicked the can down the road until after the season, which I'm glad I'm on to figure this out. The question is, can he? And I don't know, man. I've got my concerns. I watched that team quit last year, and you have to start to wonder, have they somewhat quit within that locker room, which you hate to say as a former player, but it feels like it. It really does.
Well, and guys not making the trip, that now like everybody's a little bit more banged up, which is never a good sign. Hey, we started the show, Dusty, talking about Jimbo. Maybe Jimbo goes for free. Hey, I'll come back. I'll come back for no money because my buyout was so legit. I'll just come back and coach. No big deal. Like, everybody will be happy. But no, Dusty, good luck on the call this weekend, man. Georgia Tech and Syracuse should be a good one. Can GT keep it going and keep doing your thing, man? It's really, really fun to watch. And thank you for joining us here on See Ball, Get Ball. You the man, dog.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.